Hey everybody, lesson 3 in the Guide to Effective Supervision, written by my buddy, Dick Hollick. Dick, again, I'll say this again, I'll say it until you get really bored and tired of listening to me just talk about it, is a freaking genius in this industry, super experienced, super helpful, just a wonderful, loving man. He won't be here long for us, so we just want to take advantage of all of his wisdom and knowledge. Today's lesson is the many hats of a supervisor. All right, this is where some nights everything's going smooth for you guys, and you're out there and everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, and the clients are behaving the way you'd like them to behave and telling you how great you are. Your team members are super helpful. And then there's those nights where you feel like you're split in 15 different directions, where on one hand over here, I'm putting out a fire. On one hand over here, I'm telling somebody, I'm kind of scolding them. And on this other hand, I'm kind of monitoring things and making sure everything's moving smoothly. And then on the other hand, I'm trying to get 2 employees to stop bickering and discontinue some weird ideas they have about each other. It gets crazy. Now you're adding all that to going out and cleaning, adding all that to doing the inspections. It gets nuts. I know that. I know you guys know that. And I want you to know that I respect you and I admire you for doing it day in and day out and just growing, continuing to grow as leaders. All right. So just let's kick this off with those many hats that a supervisor wears. 1, a firefighter. You're putting out fires, right? 2, police officer, making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. Coach, helping someone along. Like, hey, let's get you up here. You're almost at 2 weeks of training and you still can't do the account on time. Let's coach them through that. Kind of make them successful. That's our job, is to make them successful. The ambassador, you have 2 people complaining, he said this, she said that, I don't like the way they snore, I don't like the way they talk, whatever it is, you have to be that ambassador, that peacemaker. And then of course there's the accountant. How do I make sure that all the accounts that I'm responsible for are being done on time? The ones that I do myself, and also the ones that my teammates do. All right, now we're gonna go down through each and every one of these roles that you have to play, and there are even more, and feel free, if you have some other ideas, throw them at us. We might even add those in here, okay? These are just some of them that Dick and I have recognized throughout the years, primarily Dick though, okay? All right, so here's the firemen. What do they have to do? They have to correct the work that's not getting done correctly. So I do an inspection, I find something wrong, that person isn't there, now I gotta fix it myself, right? Because if I don't, I'm gonna have an unhappy customer. The emergency cleanup, due to water leaks, fires, etc. This has happened over in Corning a couple times where we had bad rainstorms. Cleaner comes in there and there's 2 inches of water on the floor. And we have to do some things that you wouldn't typically do, or at some of these sites where the kids plug stuff up and then we have an explosion that we have to fix. I know this has happened in Dansville and this has definitely happened in Prattsburg. What are some of the things that the fireman has to do? They got to make sure that the emergency numbers are in every communications log, right? They have to know what to do if there's an emergency. So if there is poison control, where do I look in the SDS manual? Where do I direct people? If there is an emergency, who do I call? Do I call the site, the person responsible for the site? Do I call the police? Do I call the fire department? Do I call, it can be daunting. Now, the police officer, they've got a role here, right? So I wear this police officer hat, and I have to make sure that all the work gets done on the account, on top of the stuff that I have to do. I can't just tell them to go do something. I have to manage them and make sure that it gets done, right? Just telling does never count. I have to get out there and make sure that it's being done. So if I have some doubts, I have to travel right up to that account and make sure that it gets done. We're not a messenger, we're a manager. Again, it's not just telling people, it's making sure, right? Managing the situation. We have to make sure that all the procedures are being followed all of the time so that Everybody cleans the same way that we have in our Fast Start training manual, which means that I can't vary off and I can't veer off and do it my way and come up with these little text tips and tricks. There are tips and tricks to think about, but they have to be done within the system, right? Within the cleaning process, counterclockwise, top to bottom, around the room, exactly the way we line it out for you or lay it out for you guys. No shortcuts, because shortcuts soon become standard operating procedures. That's why we have to constantly review, right? Tell, show, do, review. Reviewing always what somebody's been shown to do and proven to you that they know how to do. Because that show part is them doing it in front of you until you know and are comfortable that they can do it themselves. We don't step away after one or two runs and say, oh, that's good enough. Because good enough is never, again, good enough is never good enough. They have to conduct the discipline and properly and promptly. And what do we mean by that is there an oral warning due, right? Did someone, were they insubordinate? They say, I'm not going to do what you asked me to do, right? That is unacceptable. Or I asked them to clean this area tonight and they just didn't do it. That's insubordination, right? Or are they laying out? Are they showing up late consistently? So I've got to do a oral warning on them tonight. That's something that's usually not something that they are a part of. That's something you just do. But once you get past that third one, or if it's a more significant issue, you may have to do a written warning, which means they have to be present. They have to sign off on. You have to be alone with them, okay, so that it's appropriate. You're not going to do that in front of another person. You may have to go to a separate section of the site if it's a remote site, and if it's in or around Hornell, of course, it's going to be done here in the office. But you guys do all the orals and can do writtens as well. Once we go beyond that, then we handle that beyond that in the office. So the next one is the coach, right? The coach is the person who's going to train and retrain the staff as needed, making those assessments. This site isn't getting done on time. This site isn't getting done with quality. I have to make an assessment. Is this the individual or is this the training, right? And if it's a training, I always look to myself first and say, what can I do differently to help this person be successful? If they simply refuse to be successful based on their own attitudes and actions, then we'll help them through the disciplinary process. Company orientation, training review. Again, we're going to orient them. So along with our trainers, we're going to go out there and we're going to try and make sure that they feel comfortable, that we're following up with them. Right through our site communications, you can reach right out to them. Hey, how you doing tonight? Fantastic job. Great to have you on the team. Anything I can help you with. Real-time communication back and forth means everything. Learning the ropes. Again, you got to help them kind of understand the culture of the company, because even though they're a fit, it doesn't mean that they understand it. They don't know every detail about our bonuses. They don't know every detail about our likes and our dislikes. They don't even know what their version of Team First is, or solve problems, and how that looks and what that looks like within the company. And it's your job in part to help teach them those things and to help them learn the ropes there. Offering sincere encouragement, like letting them know that they're cared about and that you're there to help them be successful. When we do our mentoring sessions, it's important that we highlight their dreams and we start to learn about the dreams of the people that work for us so that we can help them achieve those dreams. And I know some of this is new terminology, but you're going to see more and more of this and that terminology as we go along. So get ready for it. Here comes dreams, baby. Scheduling and rescheduling work. So though none of you usually do this, I know a couple have had some people lay out and then they've had to shift their schedule around to accommodate cleaning those additional accounts and then still taking care of their clients. So that's really what it looks like for us today. The other thing is, how do I communicate effectively across the generational gap, right? So some of the older folks, and I'm saying that coming to you above 50 guys and girls, could be in the silent generation. So that's like my father, who's about 78 now. I'm 51. He's silent generation, and he's not so silent. He's very opinionated. If you are not there probably a half an hour early, you are late, and there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So timeliness, super important to this generation. Doing what you say you're going to do, super important. Being frugal, not blowing money on silly things, not very tech savvy, right? So that you got to communicate with that kind of person, that age person, differently because of the generation. It's not because of their age, it's because of the generation they grew up in. The baby boomers. So this is my mother. So my mother's 70. So in the baby boomer generation, again, it's super important to be on time, work hard. But they had the 60s, right? The baby boomers had the 60s. They did the wild child stuff, a little craziness in there. So they're a little freer thinking, and they're willing to look at things a little openly, a little more tech savvy. But again, not so much. You get to Gen X, that's me, right? I'm in that group right there. So we like to be challenged. We like some new stuff to learn things. And timeliness is kind of important to us, right? So we appreciate it, but it's not like if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. That's more of the baby boomer and silent generation. Millennials, all right? So that's what a lot of you folks are, all right? So in your generation, you want variety, you want some flexibility, you want a more time freedom. Money isn't the big factor. You want to make sure that the community is being taken care of. And cool thing is we do that. The Gen Zers, this is my daughters, right? So they grew up with all this technology, never not having it. They watch TV like YouTube. They watch YouTube like we watched TV. It's not the same kind of environment. They have different heroes. But again, you can't fool a Gen Zer. They've heard every damn ad out there. They've heard every single line out there, and they are done with it. If you're not authentic, you're gone. So if you want to be a faker, you don't want to be real, you are never going to lead a Gen Zer, because they can smell through the nonsense and call you on it. So how you communicate with these people and how you motivate them is a real skill set, and it's going to take time and practice, intentional time and practice on doing just that. The ambassador. Now, here's my ambassador role. Right? Not, this guy is no ambassador. Yeah. No matter how you feel about him, he is not an ambassador. He is no politician. Why is an ambassador important? They're peacekeepers, right? They're going to keep the peace amongst their team. They're going to make sure that they spot problems with personality conflicts, get involved in it, and separate that stuff, so the BS from the truth, right? So that people can have a good experience. They know the company policies and procedures. They know what they can do, what they should do, and what they're going to do. They also know what you need to do, and so they can direct you to that. And so that's just developing a familiarity with their policies and procedures within the company, and not kind of going off the ranch and doing your own thing. They settle disputes amongst the workforce. So again, you might have a person who has a slight attitude tonight because maybe the dog bit them on their way out the door, and their partner is a rock star, so they expect to work with rock stars. They don't expect to work with lunkheads, right? And so that can cause some friction sometimes, but it doesn't necessarily mean that one is right or wrong. It just means that something's going on, and so as an ambassador, I have to figure out what that is and let them know that, look, you're more than this. How do we bring you back, right? And then let the other person know, it's probably just a rough night for them. What do you think? Can you pick up the pace for them tonight? And as long as this doesn't continue, rock on. That's what we have to do with this. They represent the company professionally when dealing with clients. So again, when you're out there on an account and you're the team leader, by God, you have to represent us with professionalism. have fun, live the core values, but you have to be professional, right? They have to get the sense that when they're working with you, they're working with a professional company, that you are a pro, that you know what you're doing, and you're comfortable doing it. And that's super important. The other thing with an ambassador is they're not going to deliver excuses to the customer. They're not going to say, the company did this or Johnny did this. They're saying, you know what? How can we solve that problem for you? Or what's going on? Let me get to the root cause of this and get it solved for you. That's what an ambassador does. So I'll give you an example of some of the excuses we're not going to use is, oh, the equipment's broken, so we couldn't get it done. It's BS. Customer pays to have it done regardless of our equipment. Can't find good help. You can always find good help. It's our responsibility to change and adjust to the marketplace to find that good help, to attract the very best candidates out there. Oh, I'm just so busy. You know, I'm filling in for 3 people. Of course you are. That's your job. You're filling in, you're doing more, you're going above and beyond. That's what leadership does, right? And so, but can we use that as an excuse for a customer? No. They're busy too. They want the problem solved. And then going back to the company, they this, and the company, they this. If you're not loyal to your team, the customer knows, the client knows that you're not going to be loyal to them, and vice versa. If every time there's an issue, we point the finger directly at you from a company standpoint, very bad idea, right? Very bad idea. It means we don't trust our team. And we do. We have to verify, right? We have to look at what's going on, but we still trust you. Trust, but verify. Always trust, but verify. Think of some more excuses that we just can't make, right? And then put them the heck out of your mind. The accountant. Now, typically, I'm going to use this for the accountants. Because this, at the end of the day, the accountant makes sure that the client makes more money, you make more money, and we make more money in the company. Also, this guy wasn't a bad accountant. He was way better accountant, better at business, better at operating, managing things than he ever was at being an ambassador. And then getting the paperwork done on time. So we do our inspections, our checklists, every single night, right? So there shouldn't be a night when a team member doesn't complete their checklist, doesn't sign off on it, and doesn't leave it for the client or for us to pick up, depending upon that site's specification, right? Because we should have a track record of everything that we say we did on every single account, every single time. That's our responsibility. So it's not 2 days later, it's the night of, it's the day of, right? Must learn technology. An accountant's got to know how to use SWEP so they can teach others, because we use those tools to be more efficient. We use those tools to manage that basic operation. And then meeting of the budgets, of course, as I've said before. If we're over or under 10% systematically or consistently, we are absolutely losing money, or we are stealing from the client. Either of which is absolutely unacceptable for anyone in this company. Anyone. Not you, not me, any of us. We have to give the customer exactly what they pay for or more, and the company has to be profitable doing it, and you have to get your paycheck for the work that you do. All of this has to happen, or somebody's getting shortchanged, and that's just not going to work. The overall responsibility for people in leadership is to never quit learning, to consistently do these video trainings, to look at that slide deck, to read these books consistently and review them, know our policy manual, know this stuff on a regular basis, learn more about the latest technologies by reading really cool industry publications like Contracting Profits. Great information, and we have them right here at the office at all times. So you can always come in, check one out. Bobby will get you signed in, signed out of that particular issue, read it, and then bring it back and get another one. So we do that all the time. Asking for help. if you don't know something, ask. There's nothing wrong with that, right? If you don't know how to do something, if you need help with managing a specific person, ask. Now, if you ask, you have to take the action. So this is not talk, right? This is not the old days. This is taking accountability or being accountable and taking responsibility for my team. Meaning, I don't know how to handle Jerry over here. Okay, I'll take some suggestions and advice, and then I will follow that suggestion and advice and not just say, oh, it was too hard, right? Take responsibility for our actions. That's for each of us. At the end of the day, anything going wrong in this business is my fault, right? I'm at the top, so it all comes down on me. But anything in your little area is on you as well. And so be responsible for it. Don't make excuses for it. It's not the company's fault. It's not the client's fault. It's not your team's fault. Take responsibility and fix it. It doesn't mean things are right always. It doesn't mean that there isn't somebody else that we have to hold accountable as well. But at the end of the day, your team is your responsibility. Again, go ahead and answer these questions at the end of this video again. Think about them, and then take that quiz, pass it, kick butt and take names, and I'll see you for lesson 4. Thank you.